October 2020, a month to raise biosafety and biosecurity awareness. And thank you very much for your participation today. You have joined our webinar on global biocrime and bioterrorism from One Health perspective, and we will begin our program shortly. I would like to kick off today's program by reminding you some of the housekeeping items as seen on the screen. First of all, please turn off your microphone during the session and only unmute when you are required to speak.
Fazla, we can't see instruction. Maybe you can put it on Zoom mode.
Right, sure.
Slide.
Can
Slides.
you see the slide?
Yeah. Slides.
Sure. It's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
First of all, please turn off your microphone during the session and only unmute when you are required to speak. Please turn on your camera so that we can see one another. If you have any question or comment, please feel free to message us on the chat box. We will try our best to address your concerns, and the chat box is also there for you to introduce yourself. Please give us your name and your organization. Last but not least, no phone calls or disruption during the session. Note that this session will be recorded and live on YouTube, and your recording will be saved on our YouTube channel right after the session. An evaluation survey will appear at the end of our session. Please spend some time to provide your feedback, as it will be really meaningful for us to improve our next session. Thank you very much for your attention, and once again, welcome to all our first webinar organized by AIMST Institutional Biosafety Committee as part of October 2020 Biosafety and Biosecurity Month at AIMST University. My name is Fazla Safarudin. I'm a biotechnology final year student at AIMST University. It is my honor to serve as your MC for this webinar. If anyone has any issue with audio or video, please use the chat box and we will do our best to help you. To start the session, I invite IBC Chairman, Senior Associate Professor, Dr. Subhash, to share a few words about biosafety and biosecurity month at AIMST University. Dr. Subhash, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Fazla. You can hear me, Fazla?
Yes.
Okay. A very good morning to all the participants of the webinar. First, I want to thank all of you for making the time to attend this webinar. We are going through a difficult situation due to coronavirus disease pandemic. I hope that your family members and friends are safe and healthy. AIMST University is observing AIMST University is observing October 2020 as Biosafety and Biosecurity Month. The main aim of the exercise is to raise the biosafety and biosecurity awareness among students, staff, stakeholders of the AIMST University and all other participants of the webinar. To promote biosafety and biosecurity, AIMST University's institutional biosafety has organized 9 webinars and a virtual poster presentation competition. Today's webinar on global biocrime and bioterrorism from One Health perspective is the first in the series of the webinars which AIMST University's IBC has organized. We have 9 webinars and poster presentation competition. I just want to take this opportunity to highlight on 9th of October, we'll have a webinar on virus management from One Health perspective. On 14th of October, we will have a wonderful talk on Biosafety Act and what researchers need to know to comply with the Act from Malaysian perspective. On 16th of October, we have another webinar on biosafety considerations for the use of animals in the research on human health hazards. On 19th of October, we have a very interesting talk on post-COVID-19 biosafety protocols in dentistry. And on 21st of October, we have a talk by prominent speaker. The talk is on the fundamentals of the biological agents and risk groups. On 23rd October, we have a talk on new emerging diseases and disease management, disaster management preparedness from One Health perspective. And on 26th, a very prominent speaker is going to deliver a talk on zoonotic diseases and human health from One Health perspective. And on 28th, we will have the last webinar, webinar number 9, which is on biosafety and biosecurity in a nutshell. And finally, on 30th October, we'll have a poster presentation competition where the main aim is to promote the biosafety and biosecurity among students, staffs, and stakeholders. All these webinars will serve as a wonderful platform for learning various elements of biosafety and biosecurity. And today's webinar on global biocrime and bioterrorism from One Health perspective will be delivered by specially invited Dr. Badrul from Faculty of Medicine and Defense Health, National Defense University of Malaysia. So I want to thank Dr. Badrul for accepting the invitation and becoming a part of our Biosafety and Biosecurity Month. For today's webinar, we have participants from 5 different countries. Those have registered from India, Nigeria, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Algeria. I want to take this opportunity to thank senior management of AIMST University for their full support for the Biosafety and Biosecurity Month activities. I want to thank Senior Professor Yam Ravichandran, who is Dean of Faculty of Applied Sciences at AIMST University, for accepting the invitation to moderate the today's session. I want to thank my AIMST University's institutional biosafety members. Those are helping me to coordinate the activities in this Biosafety and Biosecurity Month. Last but not least, I want to thank students. Those are volunteering themselves to help me to get the work done for the Biosafety and Biosecurity Month activities. Once again, thank you, all of you. And without further ado, please, Fazla, lead the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Subhash, for your opening remarks. Now I request moderator of the webinar, Senior Professor M. Ravichandran, to introduce the speaker and start the session. Prof. Ravi, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Fazla, for the chance. And I think it is a great honor to introduce Dr. Badrul Hisham from National Defense University of Malaysia, and thank you for accepting to give a talk in our Biosafety Biosecurity Month. Dr. Badrul Hisham bin Abdul Samad obtained his doctoral MBBS degree from University of Malaya, Kuala Lumpur in 1994. He holds a Master of Public Health degree from University of Glasgow, Scotland in 1996. He has a master degree in environmental engineering from University Technology Malaysia, Johor, in 2003. And he also holds a very powerful diploma in medical strategic leadership from Academy of Health Sciences from US Army in 2009. Dr. Badrul started his career in public health since 1997 from MOH, Ministry of Health, Malaysia, and has been gazetted as a public health medicine specialist in 2003. His main expertise is in the area of communicable diseases epidemiology, biosecurity, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosives, CBRNE preparedness and response. In November 2017, Dr. Badrul moved to Disease Control Division at MOH Malaysia headquarters in Putrajaya, taking charge of CBRNE activities. Dr. Badrul is one of the multi-agency national trainer for bioincidents response investigation, training and evaluation, BRIGHT program. After extensive training he received from many international agencies, namely US Defense Threat Reduction Agency, US Federal Bureau of Investigation, and CDC, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and Interpol. Currently, Dr. Badrul is a Distinguished Fellow and Public Health Lecturer at Faculty of Medicine and Defense Health, National Defense University of Malaysia in Sungai Besi, Kuala Lumpur. With this, I'd like to invite Dr. Badrul. It's a great honor to invite you, sir. Thank you. Please welcome. Floor is on you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Ramichandran. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm Dr. Badrul. Thank you, Prof. Ramichandran, for your very kind introduction. First and foremost, I would like to thank AIMST University, especially the AIMST University Institutional Biosafety Committee, especially to my good friend, Dr. Subesh, for inviting me to share with the participants today on the global biocrime and bioterrorism. Indeed, I feel very honored actually because I'm the first speaker, right, for this biosafety and biosecurity awareness month for AIMST University. All right. Okay. Without further ado, I try to share my slides with the fellow participants. Okay. Please help me if I'm.
Yeah. If you select
Okay,
the
green
slides
ones,
screen
okay.
share, the green color button below, and then select your PowerPoint
Okay.
slide, the window.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you see now?
Then, yeah, you can put in the
Yes, yes.
slide mode. Yeah.
Slide mode.
Perfect.
All right. Can you see now my slide?
Yeah.
Yes.
Very
Okay.
clear.
Okay, that's great. Right. This will be my outline of presentation today. So I will try my best to keep within the time frame. Yeah. For the next 40 or 45 minutes. Right. Right. Well, basically, my presentation, most of my resources, I'm referred to the US FBI module or guidelines, as mentioned by Prof. Ramichandran just now. Myself and actually a few other multi-agency colleagues from Malaysian agencies, we have been receiving training for many years now. Yeah. Myself actually back then, since 2015, when I first involved and being trained, a series of training especially by US FBI and US CDC as a consultant. So mainly my reference today is using the guideline by the US FBI. So this definition of bioterrorism, so obviously this is the definition by the USA, yeah, whereby it refers to the weapons of mass destruction statute, Title 18 USC Section 2332A. So if you can see this definition of bioterrorism, so it includes any biological agent, toxin, or vector, okay, as spelled out in this definition. And if you look again carefully, actually, this definition of bioterrorism by the US, it does not necessarily require the actual use of biological agent, as well as does not necessarily require the select agent. I will share with you shortly what are the select agents listed by the US. But before that, what is select agent? It is a biological agent or toxin that has the potential to pose a severe threat to public health and safety. And not to forget that it also involves plants. Yeah, that's why plants and animals. That's why it comes to this contribution by the Department of Agriculture as well. Yeah. Obviously, the topic that I'm sharing with you today, with regards to One Health initiative. Yeah. So in terms of public health, in this case, it is not only human health, but it also involves animal health as well. Yeah, and it encompasses the threats to humans, to animals, and to plants, to our environments. Okay. Right. Next, here you can see some of the list of the select bioagents by the US. Yes, select agents by the US. I think only the US has this list of select agents, not the country that I know of. Yes, we do have some importance, pathogens of importance, for example, toxins of importance, but the select agents is only unique to the US. So from the list, basically you can see that those are the agents or pathogens or toxins that, that really can cause harmful effect to humans, especially. Right. Just briefly, we go through what we call this biospectrum risk. This kind of bio threat or biological incident, it has a spectrum, right from occurrence of natural occurrence, like a disease outbreak, the natural disease outbreak, and it can goes up to accidental, to leakage, to negligence, or even sabotage, and deliberate use. Okay, so the bioattacks, the bioterrorism, or even the biological warfare on the extreme end. So those are the examples of deliberate use of bioagents. Okay, and we have to be fully aware about the challenge of the biosecurity aspect. My topic is more of biosecurity aspect when we talk about the biocrime and bioterrorism. Not only the incidents that I just prescribed just now within those risk spectrum, but also about the biotechnology in research. So what they call the dual research. So this is another concern and another challenge actually by the security agencies because we do not want that peaceful research, good research can be misused and to become some sort of biological weapons. So this is the responsibility of many parties, okay, including researchers, okay, including Biosafety Biosecurity Committee in universities and so on. Okay. Right. Actually, we do have the reference by the United Nations Security Council resolution in 1540, 1540 in 2004, whereby there is a commitment by the United Nations to ensure that there is no threats coming from this CBRNE, basically, the nuclear, chemical, biological weapons, to international peace and security. So Malaysia actually is one of the signatories for this obligation to ensure that whatever that we contribute in developing, in manufacturing, in research, and so on, of this CBRN, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear technology, just for the peaceful purposes. Okay, so this UN Security Council resolution promotes the adoption and full implementation, by the member countries to prevent the proliferation of these elements as weapons. Okay, and not only that, this resolution also wants to enhance the coordination efforts for the member states at the national level, as well as regional and international level. So at the international level, actually, there are a number of agencies that work together with the member states country on how to materialize this UN Security Council resolution at their respective countries. Right. Back to this bioattacks or bioterror. Actually, it is not new in the human history. Yeah. Uh, the documented past attacks actually stated as early as 6th century before Christ, if you can see from these chronological events. So the Assyrians, they use fungus actually, okay, to poison the wells of their enemies. Yeah, and in around 1346, 1347, the Tatars army, when they besieged the Kaffa, so what they did, well, quite harshly, they catapulted corpses, yeah, uh, 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 dead bodies of plague victims right into the city of their enemies. Yeah, that's to me that's a very very harsh method of bioattack, but it shows that it happened then, yeah, many years ago. Uh, Even coming to the 18th century, during the French and Indian Wars, okay, I have some graphics on this occasion very shortly. Uh, During the Second World War, uh, uh, the Japanese army they attacked a number of cities in China, yeah, using the fleas that containing Yersinia pestis, uh, the pathogens for plagues, and which infects and kills many people in China during the second war. Right. And so on and so forth. I will describe some of these events further shortly. Right. Here, you can see this is what happened during the siege of Kaffa in 1346 and 1347, and again, and in 1763, the siege of Fort Pitt in the USA. So what happened? The British soldiers, pretending that they gave gifts to Native Americans, but actually what they gave, the gifts, for example, blankets and so on, from those who have been infected with smallpox. So what happened? Later on, there were deadly outbreak happened to the Native Americans, yeah, due to this smallpox. And you may aware that smallpox has been eradicated in the world, but again, well, we do know that a few countries are still keeping smallpox viruses as bioweapons. Right. This is quite interesting. I think not many people aware about the role of some of the roles of the Imperial Japanese Army in bio warfare weapons development. So as I mentioned earlier, they use the plague-infected fleas, the Xenoxola chopis, yeah, to attack uh, the China cities, yeah. And interestingly, from the history, one of the headquarters actually located right in Peninsular Malaysia. Okay, where was it? Actually, the headquarters of one of the units for this region. Okay, is it located at the Permai Hospital in Johor Bahru. Okay, so well, I worked in this Permai Hospital because at the current moment, this is an old hospital, but now being used as the some of the headquarters of the Johor State Health Department. So I was over there for a few years actually. Okay, but fortunately, the information that I got from my military colleagues, they didn't manage to, to kickstart the attacks to other areas from Johor, from Permai Hospital. due to the abrupt end of the Second World War after the bombing of nuclear bombs at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Right. Why plague? Why Yersinia pestis? Yeah, this is very dangerous pathogen. Yeah. So you can see from the its pathogenesis. Yeah? For the start, they can just use the plague infected flea, the Xenocelachopis, which we can find in rodents, in rats. Yeah. So first, they just infected rat to humans, for example, by biting the human body. But once the Yersinia pestis get into the human body, from the so-called zoonotic, not really zoonotic because it is actually from the fleas that are infesting the rats to the humans. Then what next happens in the human body is from the bubonic plague, it becomes a pulmonary plague. So it starts to cause human-to-human infection. Yeah. So that's really the unique things and the harmful effect from plague. So it becomes human-to-human, and next it becomes septicemia to the persons. Yeah. So plague really can cause a devastating effect with high proportion of death among the patients, among the victims. Right. This is another example of bioattack. Happened in Oregon, in Wesco County in Oregon, USA, back in 1980s, mid of 1980s. What happened was some kind of dissatisfaction from these group members, from the group leaders, to the local authority. Okay, so actually there was a long history of what happened there, and the group members just want to ensure that some of their members, their leaders, are being voted as the leaders in that particular county. Okay, so what they did, some of the attacks that they did, they used, to us, just a simple Salmonella pathogen, Salmonella typhimurium, to 10 restaurants over there. So they contaminate the menus, the salads in particular, which end up with hundreds of cases being infected, with I think about 41 people being hospitalized. Luckily, there was no death. But here it shows that for the bio attack, it is not necessarily using highly virulent pathogens, not necessarily. Okay, so some of the attackers, they just want to cause chaos, they just want to cause disruption, and they just want to to give a bad reputation to their enemies, not necessarily death. Okay, this is also another famous terrorist, we would say. Shirokio, he was famous for this sarin attack, for the chemical attack. If some of you are aware, back in 1995, in a number of subway stations in Tokyo, he was very famous for that. But not many people knew that way before the sarin attack, the chemical attack, he planned and executed some of the bioattacks actually. Yeah. In Japan, using botulinum toxins, yeah, using anthrax. But fortunately, he failed to really, ensure that the bioweapons that he tried to develop using these toxins and anthrax of a potent agent. So basically, it was not a good bioweapons that he developed. So the attacks failed, fortunately. But we may understand that police arrested him just for a brief, and then they released him, Well, maybe because apparently no one was hurt during the previous attacks, but then next he conducted the series attacks that really devastating and cost a number of lives in Japan. Right, this is very famous, Ameritrax, using the Bacillus anthracis spores, the anthrax. So, well, basically, why we, the multi-agencies personnel from Malaysia, learned from the US more using this anthrax or Ameritrax case as our case study. Yeah, so this is really worrying us most. Well, if you look at the history of what happens during these Ameritrax attacks, so basically it was quite a complicated and rather long history of what happened leading to this attack. Actually, the perpetrator is none other than the U.S. defense scientist, bioweapon scientist himself, Dr. Bruce Edwards Vines. So basically, he was dissatisfied with the manufacturing of the vaccines for the anthrax, the anthrax vaccines meant for the U.S. soldiers. So there were, a few hiccups during this development of these vaccines and the approval to use this particular vaccine to the American soldiers. So it seems that he lost, the contract to secure the supply of these anthrax vaccines to the U.S. soldiers. So he planned and executed the attacks. How? By disseminating the Bacillus anthracis spores through the postal services to many places and to some of the US senators. Okay, and 5 people got killed because of this attack and affecting few others. But really, the cost of the decontamination that took place at the postal offices that involved in this chain of attacks. So it was really massive. And when the US FBI investigated this case, it was no other than their own scientist for the bioweapon, because he is the one that really expert in this matter. Right, anthrax. So this is a very good example where the human health, the animal health, the environmental health have to come together, right? So this is the importance of the One Health and the importance of biosafety and biosecurity that we are talking about. Okay, this is danger. This is the danger if we are not very careful and if we fail to prevent the misuse of the potential bioagents instead of using them for good purposes, for research with good purposes, it might end up with a harmful effect if it falls into the wrong hands. Okay, so anthrax is one of the very potential bioweapons, because the fatality rate is very high, especially if the victims, the patients fail to get the treatment urgently. And we know very well these Bacillus anthracis, they are abundant in soils, and they infect animals, domestic animals, livestock. But it happens in not really in Malaysia that I know, but there may some areas with Bacillus anthracis in Malaysia, but not as prevalent and not as prevalent as in some other countries. So some other countries, they really have a big problem with this Bacillus anthracis of natural disease outbreaks for their livestock. Right. this is what worrying us most as well in Malaysia. So maybe some of us may not aware that in Malaysia, we do have a bioterrorist, Yazid Sufan. So some of you may aware, some of you may not, but actually it was highlighted in the newspapers in Malaysia. Who is Yazid Sufan? So from the intelligence information, he was recruited by the Al-Qaeda as their bioterrorist, bioweapon expert. And he tried to develop anthrax as a bioweapon for the Al-Qaeda. So, in fact, he was detained by the Malaysian security, previously under the ISA, but well, the change of the the laws and regulations, and somehow the Malaysian security has no more so-called extension of power to detain him. So actually he was freed from prison towards the end of last year. But I'm very sure that our Malaysian security, mainly the Royal Malaysian Police, really put him under their surveillance. So this is another worry. So because of him, we would like to remind everybody, including the university, the research institute and so on, your bio lab, to really put biosecurity measures in place. Because the terrorist might not he himself try to gain access, but he may recruit anyone from the lab, lab technician, lab staff. We never know, or maybe the students. We never know. So this is why biosecurity measures is very, very, very important to be in place in our premises, in our backyard. Why bioweapon? It is also known as what we call the poor man's atomic bomb. It's the cheapest weapon of mass destruction to develop. Easy to produce, easy to handle, and as I mentioned earlier, it is not necessarily using a high-end, high-virulent pathogens, like smallpox or like anthrax. They can use any common pathogens. E. coli, maybe Salmonella, maybe, because it may not necessarily causing fatal effect to other people, but just to scare them, to create chaos. So this is very challenging. And another tricky aspect of the bioweapon, because we know very well for the disease to develop in humans, in animals, it has what we call the incubation period. So they attack now, but the effect is not immediate. So it takes some time. And by that time, the perpetrators can run away. So it is hard for the law enforcement, for the police to identify and to catch them in time. These are the categories, the pathogens, by pathogens of the bioweapons. But again, not necessarily the high virulent pathogens, but even common pathogens can also be used as bioweapon. Right? Obviously, for the category A agents, examples, the smallpox, anthrax that I just mentioned, the plague, just give example during the past history, the botulinum toxin, even the hemorrhagic viruses, and some others, right? And even toxin, for example, ricin, heparin, so they come from plants, toxins, some classified as chemicals, some classified within this bioweapon as well. For us, Malaysia, we put ricin, heparin under the biological toxin weapons. Right, now we come into the PPE, the importance of PPE. So I will share to some extent the training that we got, the multi-agency training that we got from the US agency mainly. So most importantly is the PPE for the responders or for those investigators, yeah, to the biocrime scene. Okay, this is by the US EPA standards, the US Environmental Protection Agency standard. The highest level of PPE is level A. Yeah. So in our case for Malaysia, for the civilian response, only Hazmat, yeah, the hazardous material team from Fire and Rescue Department that have this complete level A PPE. Yeah. It has encapsulated PPE at the outside. Yeah. And they use what we call self-contained breathing apparatus, yeah, the oxygen tank, so that they can go into the most hazardous environment. So mind you, whenever there is a suspected biocrime scene of CBRN, yeah, of CBRN, chemical, biological, nuclear, there is no other responders that qualify to enter the scene except Hazmat. Okay, except Hazmat. Why? Because they have the highest, most protective gear to enter the biocrime scene. Not only that, the Hazmat personnel, they also equipped with many detectors, yeah, many type of detectors, the chemical detectors, the radiological detectors, yeah, the paper testing for the chemical agents, yeah, for the chemical warfare agents. So they are the one that have this capability to enter the unknown biocrime scene. So whenever there is an incident of bioattack, for example, so Hazmat, yeah, Hazmat will be the first responder to go in after being given green light by the police. Yeah, actually, the very first step when the trained personnel enter the biocrime scene, will be the police bomb squad. Yeah, because the idea is that the terrorists, if they were to use the bioweapons, they also have other kind of weapons, yeah, to do the harmful destruction. So if they have in their stocks the bioweapons, very likely they also have other kind of weapons, the bombs, explosives, and so on. So in any biocrime scene, actually the police, the EOD, what we call the EOD, the bomb squad, will enter first to try to find and then neutralize if there are any explosives. Then only Hazmat will go in. Yeah. After the assessment by the Hazmat, they read the oxygen level, for example, the flammability, the presence of chemicals, vapors, whatnot. If it is safe, then the following responders will downgrade the PPE to enter the scene for the biocrime investigation. Okay. Right. For us in medical and health and public health, the most PPE that we have is level C. Yeah. So basically level C, for example, we use the jumpsuits. For example, using the Tyvek suit, okay, with the hand gloves, with the boots. But the important thing about this level C, the N95, for example, per se is not sufficient, because for the biological level C, it has to be full face respirator. I have an example because I'm also one of the responder. This is an example of the face mask. If you can see the face mask, so it will cover the whole of your face, yeah, because we do not want to have any exposure of our skin. So you can imagine if there is a anthrax spores, if you just use N95, you just use the eye goggle, you still have an exposure on your skin. So it is still not face. So for the responders, we have to really wear a full face respirator with the proper cartridge. Yeah. For biological, we use the biological cartridge, but for the chemical, we have to use the chemical cartridge. So it depends on what kind of CBRN incident that we are dealing with. Right. I can go this very quickly. What I'm trying to share with the fellow participants are the importance and elements of public health. How do we investigate? the outbreak, so-called, using the epidemiological investigation. Yeah, as usual, we come up with case definition. Okay, we come into the diagnosis, we come into the laboratory investigation and confirmation, and for the epidemiological approach, we do have what we call the epidemic curve. Okay, so the different epidemic curve that we plot reflects, some kind of information about what type of source of infection, will it a point source or will it a common source or propagator and so on. Okay, I won't go into details into this because for those in public health, especially epidemiologists, be it in human and animal health, they know very well about this. But what I am sharing is actually this information, this knowledge, we share with our law enforcement counterparts, the police, for example. Yeah, they're involved in this joint investigation in biocrime scene. Yeah, obviously the police do not understand how epidemiologists investigate the bio incident outbreaks. Yeah, what are the methods that we use? So this information actually we let our counterparts from the police to understand how we use these tools to come into some kind of diagnosis and conclusion about the communicable disease outbreaks. Okay, and vice versa, we from the public health, in fact, our team, again, not only from the human health, from the public health department, from the emergency department hospital, as well from the Department of Veterinary Services. Yeah, we got colleagues, a number of veterinarian doctors actually within our team. Yeah, so vice versa, the law enforcement, the police, in this case for Malaysia, especially the CSI, the criminal scene investigation team, and the CBRN team from the police that come together within our team. Yeah, so they shared with us basically how are they going to investigate the crime case, so that we from the public health also will come into an understanding on how they do the investigation, because at the end of the day we have to come together to complement each other. Yeah, the public health and the law enforcement. Okay, in investigating the biocrime incident. Okay, I just go very quickly. Well, this picture is actually among the previous trainings from the US CDC and US FBI, how to collect very hazardous biological samples at the site. Yeah, so we always use anthrax spores case study. Okay, it is not a true spores, yeah, but to use that kind of case studies of anthrax during our training. This is just to share that the tools that usually used by our police counterpart to assess the threats, what they call the threat credibility evaluation, yeah, the TCE. Okay, so the public health from our epidemiological investigation, we will try to to give inputs to complete the TCE being assessed by the police. Yeah. Okay. Again, this is some of the circumstances that usually used by our police counterparts. Yeah. And yes, this is important. So to investigate, to handle, to address the biocrime scene, so public health and law enforcement have to join together. And this is the model of what we call the joint criminal epidemiological investigations model, because our goals are the same, be it the public health, be it the law enforcement. During the bio attack, our goals are the same, namely to protect the public, namely to protect and stop the spread of disease, to identify the perpetrators, and to prevent future attacks. And these are the models. These are the models how to come up with this, interrelationship between the different agencies. the public health and the law enforcement. So we have to build the rapport during the peacetime. Yeah. How to share information. Okay. The joint threat assessment, joint investigation, the formal MOU between the departments, and of course, the exercise and training. Yeah. So this is one of the BRAD programs that have been conducted in Malaysia previously. Okay, so we combine together, even some military personnel as well join this training. We use this module by the US FBI and US CDC, what they call the Joint Criminal and Epidemiological Investigations Handbook. Okay, this is what we call the triggers, for public health. When we feel something weird, something not right with our epidemiological investigations, there might be some criminal element in that. So this is how we were trained. Okay. Yes, outbreaks is extraordinary to the lay people. But to us trained in this field, we should be able to really, handle the ordinary outbreaks, but the ones that extraordinary, unusual outbreaks, then we have to, investigate it further. And if something is not right, then we have to quickly alert our counterparts from the police. Then we will come together and investigate, join the threat assessment, and do the joint investigations together. I just go very quickly. The time is running out now. Okay, okay. So this is one of the conclusions after the extensive joint assessment, joint investigations from both public health and law enforcement, say that if the bio incident scene, the biocrime scene is basically still natural in occurrence, then the public health will continue the investigation. So the police will stop their investigation. But if there is a possible threat, then we might conduct further epidemiological investigations, laboratory investigation from the public health, and the police may acquire more information, more intelligence from their investigations. And if it is really an obvious biological threat or bioattack, then we will activate the protocol by the BRIGHT teams, to really handle this occasion. But if that happens, I believe that it will come straight up to the national level. And for example, the national security will come into the picture to coordinate the response. This is a summary of bio-incident response at the scene. For those responders, for example, our emergency physicians from the hospital, they also know very well how to respond at the scene. Basically, the scene at the site being divided into red zone, yellow zone, and green zone. But for the CBRNE incidents, even the bioterrorism, the bioattack, the red zone will be further divided into hot zone, warm zone, and cool zone. And hot zone, only Hazmat, as I mentioned, only Hazmat. After the clearance by the police, by the bomb squad, then Hazmat's only to enter the zone, not even the medical personnel. But if it happens that it is a biological scene, biocrime, that takes place, the bio experts, for example, myself and other colleagues that have been trained, specifically trained in this bio incident, we may enter right into the hot zone, after the safety clearance by the police and the fire rescue department, but of course with proper PPE. Okay, this is a very quick summary of the steps happens whenever there is a biocrime scene. Okay, so again, the first team that will go into the red zone, the hot zone, in fact, will be the police bomb squad. And when we talk about the bomb personnel, not necessarily the human personnel. So the police may send in, the trained dogs first, or even robots, to try to identify if there is any explosives, and to neutralize the explosive, if any. Okay. Then only the Hazmat team with all their equipments, their detectors, we go into the scene, right into the hot zone. They conduct what we call the field screening. So measuring the oxygen level, the flammability, the presence of chemical vapors, and so on. Okay. Then only they downgrade the PPE from level A, in this case, to the level C biological PPE, with a full face respirator, to do the survey first, the recon survey first, okay, to identify the biocrime sites, what kind of samples to be taken next, okay, what are DNA samples to be taken by the forensic police, and so on. Then they came out, do the plan, then the following team will go in and do the biological samples. So there are many steps actually. Yeah, we have dirty persons, we have clean persons, and how to take the biological samples in a very safe manner, and at the same time to ensure the chain of custody is well maintained throughout the process, because at the end of the day, we want to bring the perpetrator for court trial. Yeah, so everything, every technicalities have to be really secured. Yeah, to be in place. Yeah, then those responders, how to properly doffing off their PPE and undergo the decontamination steps. Okay, right. I think I come to the end of my talk. Yeah, this is just to share that we were very fortunate. We had an opportunity to go for the what we call the US FBI advanced training early of this year, actually in February, March this year in Los Angeles, just before the US really hit badly by the COVID-19. So we managed to get out from the country, from the US, yeah, just at the right time before the US really being hit by COVID-19. So actually some of the trainers by the US FBI were our previous trainers when we very first trained in Malaysia back in 2015, 2016. All right, this is the summary. The intentional release of biological agents, yes, it's very difficult to differentiate whether it is natural or intentional, attack. Yeah, so that's where the public health, including human health, animal health, and environmental health, and the law enforcement have to come together, yeah, to deal with this kind of bio incident, biocrime. Okay. So we have to work together between this public health and law enforcement to achieve their separate but often overlapping objectives. Yeah, in stopping the spread of the disease and preventing the further attacks, and for the team that respond to this biocrime scene to identify and apprehend those culprits, those perpetrators, and to prosecute them in court. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Badrul, for a very enlightening talk, and it was very interesting, and we understand its utmost importance, particularly biosecurity measures and in universities, particularly university research laboratories. And your talk on global biocrime and bioterrorism was very enlightening. Actually, it is an untold topic to many people. I'm glad that at AIMST University in BSc Biotechnology program, we have biosafety and biosecurity as one of the course as a part of the curriculum. And we learned about all the biological agents that has been used, like S. typhimurium, anthrax, and plague, and very historical event, but actually very important for us to understand and safeguard ourselves, the country, and protecting the public and preventing the future attacks. And I think, thank you, Dr. Badrul. I will open up the session for questions. I think I will read. There is one question, Dr. Badrul, is about, that's one question from Yatvan Jagadisan. He asked about how do epidemiological study helps to draw an overview of an outbreak.
Right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Right. Actually, the approach is we use the the usual steps, the usual epidemiological investigation steps that we use in any outbreaks. It is about the same. It is the same basically. Yeah. So we use the time, person, place. Okay. We come up with the case definition, right? We prepare our laboratory case. We assemble teams. We go to the sites. We do the risk assessment. We do the epidemiological investigation. We do the interview. So as you're aware, usually at the field, whenever we investigate the outbreak, we may use case control study. We may use cohort study. So it is the same epidemiological tools that we use. Yeah. The difference is when it comes to the findings of our investigation. Yeah. The conclusion or even the findings of our investigations. Basically, if it falls into the findings that we found, falls into our expected, outcome from our previous experience, for example, from the similar outbreaks, then it is more of natural occurrence. Yeah. But if it is, out of the ordinary, it could be outlier or extremes. Yeah. Then something is not right. I just give the same example. If we recall about the salmonellosis attack in the US, in Oregon, by Rajanish group, yeah, the salmonellosis in the US during that time, so they just record about just 2 digits number, yeah, the most 2 digits number of salmonellosis throughout the year in the US, 1980s. But during that particular moment, there were hundreds of cases, more than 700 cases of salmonellosis suddenly, surged. So that caused an alarm to the public health. And that was what we call the public health trigger for the epidemiologists to start alerting their counterpart from the law enforcement. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Badrul. Actually, is one of the part of like protecting, preventing, and identifying. It's actually epidemiology plays a major role in identifying the actual agent that has been used.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doctor. Any other questions from anyone?
Yes, Prof.
Yeah.
May I ask? I am Widowati, but I could not write on a chatting. So can I ask directly?
Yeah. Dr. Widowati is our dental lecturer from AIMST University. Yes. Go ahead,
yes.
Doctor.
Okay. Thank you. Because you said that this time you give more emphasis on biosecurity, I think, yeah. Besides the biosafety, and you give more impression in biosecurity. Then I want to know your opinion regarding nowadays there is a pandemic, yeah, COVID-19, and I think this is an extraordinary outbreak. Extraordinary outbreaks in any country, and day by day become at like that. And when first time this comes out, this pandemic, it is said it's some issue, maybe political issue, I do not know. This is a biologically weapon. Or based on your lecture, you mentioned that if the extraordinary outbreak, we should be careful. Maybe this is some criminal thinking. So what is your opinion, Dr. Badrul? Sorry, thank you for giving
Thank you very much, Dr. Widowati. Yes, we are very aware of that. In fact, when I mentioned that early of this year, we went to the US, yeah, for the advanced training with US FBI and US CDC. Actually, we did discuss about this, yeah.
Yeah.
Bioweapons are, well, basically we don't know. This is still a conspiracy theory, I would say. All right.
Yeah.
At the time, maybe I can share you a bit. At the time, when we talked to US FBI scientists, at the time, they were pretty sure that this COVID-19 at the time was natural virus. Yeah, was natural virus. Yep. At the time. Okay. All right, back to your question. Actually, the measures that we take to contain or to address this COVID-19, be it natural, be it bioweapon, is the same. It is the same, all right? Because we are dealing with the impact. We are dealing with the effect, the harmful effects of this COVID-19.
Yeah.
Okay, the difference is if it is a bioweapon, the difference is for the authority, the security in that particular country where the bioweapons being developed. That is the difference, whereby that the law enforcement over that particular country have to be very aggressive, very intensively investigate, identify, and to catch the culprit, to deal with these biocriminals. That's only the difference. But the effect of these even bioweapons, okay, to others and to other countries, or even to the very extreme, say that it is a biological warfare, okay? So the effect of the bioagents are still the same. So we do the containment, okay? We do the, maybe the some extent, the mitigation. We apply the preventive measures, okay? The border controls and so on. They are the same actually. How do we manage the effects, the adverse effects
Yeah.
of these pathogens, being it bioweapon, are the same. But the difference is the location itself where the biocrime takes place, then there'll be another extensive exercise, mainly by the security, to deal with that bioterrorist, for example. Am I clear answering your question, Doctor?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Uh,
So
but-
nowadays we just try to overcome the effect, yeah, side effect of the
Yes, you're very right. Yes,
either this is bioweapon or naturally, but the effect is similar. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Badrul. Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vidavati and Dr. Badrul. Actually, there are many participants are viewing and in YouTube and also in our Zoom session. Mr. Amit Subhash Kare from Nasik, India has said your presentation is excellent. And one more person from by name Bala Kamal also appreciated your presentation. And also very interesting presentation was mentioned by Dr. Sundaram from Faculty of Pharmacy, AIMST University. There is one question, Dr. Badrul, it's on what is the biosecurity threat level in Asia? It is asked by Dr. Subhash.
Biothreat security level, you mean?
Asia, general.
In Asia,
Yeah.
right. If I recalled, pre-COVID-19, yeah, COVID-19, at least for a few countries in this region, namely under the what we call the WIPRO region, the Western Pacific region, okay? Because for the WHO, it is divided into regions, yeah. Malaysia, we belong to Western Pacific regions, whereby that some of the member states are different from ASEAN, yeah. Some ASEAN countries, for example, Indonesia, yeah, where Dr. Widawati is coming from. Indonesia, for example, belong to the SEARO, Southeast Asia Regional Office, yeah, SEARO based in Delhi, yeah. But for Malaysia, Thailand, okay, Philippines, and few other countries, we belong to WIPRO regions. So if I recalled when I was in the Ministry of Health, yeah, we've been preparing for extraordinary biothreats, more of natural occurrence, yeah, because we know very well in this region, including Malaysia, we experienced quite an ordinary, significant natural outbreaks. Yeah, we dealt with SARS. For Malaysia, we had Nipah encephalitis previously.
Yeah.
Avian flu, mainly in poultries. Luckily for Malaysia, we we do not have human AI, avian influenza, but neighboring countries, yes. Yeah. So if I recall, the biothreats in this region, in Asia, in this region, still more of natural source of infection. Yes, SARS, if you recall, SARS again happened in China, yeah, in their wet market, okay? The mix between the exotic live animals and other domestic animals and humans, okay? So in my personal view, the condition, the environment, not much different from what took place in Wuhan wet market, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's about similar, a mix of exotic live animals, domestic and humans at the same place at the same time. Yeah. So it is more of natural, right? So-called, I would say. But having said that, we are also very aware because of the regional situation, more of the militants, yeah. The militants, especially in South Philippines, in South Thailand, okay, for example. And I shared with you very clearly, even for Malaysia. So we have, Yazid Sofaan that has been arrested by the police before. So do not undermine about these local threats and regional threats. Yeah, but I am very sure the security authorities, yeah, be in Malaysia and our counterparts from the neighboring countries in this region, actually they are exchanging information actually to have the best level to prevent, you know, uh, the uncalled of any unwarranted incident that might happen in this region.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Badrul. Actually, we are very glad to know that Malaysia is well prepared against all these kind of events. And actually, our rainforest has a lot of natural agents there. I think as long as we preserve our environment and looking after it, I think it won't cross the boundary. I think that is the lesson we learned from COVID. As long as we look after the environment, and then the virus cannot cross the border and come. And Dr. Badrul, actually, many people are past the comments that your presentation is very good. I got Ms. Shankari and Ms. Shivali Samsir. They said great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have not seen any. I'm just checking the YouTube. Any questions there? I think even there I did not see any questions. I'll just leave it for 1 or 2 minutes. Anyone want to ask any questions? I think it has been a long session, more than 1 hour, Dr. Badrul. We really enjoyed your stories.
Sorry, I'm beyond 1 hour.
Yeah, it was
Sorry,
very good, and we are very honored to have you. Actually, it's a very rare topic. People don't talk this actually.
Yes.
Actually, awareness is very important. As a biotechnologist, I personally feel that this awareness of biosecurity, biosafety, and we are one of the first private university registered under the Biosafety Act. And Dr. Subhash has been doing a wonderful job, and we are collaborating with Sandhya Laboratories and a lot of activities. I think it's the second or third year we are doing this Biosafety Biosecurity Month at the university. And actually, thank you very much, Dr. Badrul. I will be looking forward to see you again, giving some more talk at the AIMST University. And I will pass to our MC, Ms. Fazla.
Okay, thank you, Professor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Badrul. Thank you, Prof. Rafi Chandran. Okay.
Dr. Badrul, thank you very much for a wonderful talk. Thank you very much, Professor Ravi Chandran, for moderating the session. It was a great session. On behalf of the organizing team, I would like to thank everybody for attending our first program of Biosafety and Biosecurity Month, October 2020. Before ending the session, we'd like to hear your feedback from all the participants by scanning the code on the screen. Right now, we promise the evaluation survey will not take you more than 1 minute, and your feedback will be greatly appreciated. You can either scan the code or go to the link below. After the completion of the survey, you will receive an instant certificate of participation, and I'll keep this live running for 2 more minutes for you to scan the code. We are looking forward to having all of you joining us in the next session. Thank you again, everyone. We wish you good health and safety, and see you next time.
Thank you, Dr. Badrul. Thank you, Dr. Subhash.
Thank you, Dr. Subhash. Thank you, Fazila.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
Bye now.
Really appreciate.
Thank you, Dr. Badru. Thank you, Professor Ravi.
Okay, the next one, Subhash.
Yeah, so we'll close in 1 minute time.
Okay.
Hazla, you can close. Yeah.
I hope everyone has a chance to scan the code. So now I'm going to end the meeting. See you soon.
Just hold on for a certain time. The other 2 QR code, we need some time to scan.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I hope everyone has a chance to scan the code by
Yeah.
now. Okay, see you in the next webinar. Stay safe and have a wonderful day.